And it's a big welcome to the big league for the first time since 1982, and it's great to be back too. With me, our expert, David Wright. David, how do you see today's game?
Well, Arthur, a vitally important match here for North. They're on equal fourth spot with Eastern Valley, so they really can't afford to lose this one because they'll get right out of touch with the leading teams. They've been solid so far this season without being very fancy, and really they'll be very keen to return to the winners list. They've lost their most recent matches to the two Brisbane sides, Redcliffe and Brothers, in the last couple of weeks. South, on the other hand, they've accumulated 10 points. They're in a handy position in equal second. Hasn't been through devastating attack by any means. It's been through some fairly well-organised defence. It should be a very closely contested match, and I'm looking forward to it.
A short time ago, I spoke with South's forward Chris Phelan, and I asked him how it felt to be home again.
Oh, it feels really good. Sort of good to get back and see some sunshine and get back to the good state, yeah.
You've covered a lot of territory since you left here in 81.
Oh, yeah, I spent a couple of years in Sydney, and I've just come back from in England. I spent 7 months with Oldham.
Did you enjoy that English experience?
Yeah, I thought it was very good. You know, the clubs over there, it's not quite the Australian standard yet, but the people were great. Yeah, I had a great time.
Next, we spoke with North's halfback Jeff Bagnall, and we asked him, was he happy with his form this season?
Yes, Arthur, I think form's fairly good this season. The experience last year and the 13 games I played has made it easier this year, and form's improved, I think.
Yes, and what of your fitness? You're something of a fitness fanatic, aren't you?
Fitness fanatic, I wouldn't call me a fitness fanatic, but during the off-season I do a lot of work with the life-saving, and by doing life-saving, by competing in life-saving carnivals, and that keeps me fit right throughout the season, so I suppose I'm fit for right throughout, just not in the football season.
And you're a beach sprint champion, aren't you?
Beach flags, yeah, I fade towards the end in the beach sprints, but beach flags, I've won a Queensland title.
North's 19-year-old halfback, Jeff Bagnall. Now let's have a look at the teams with David Wright.
Well, South have made 3 changes to their side from last week. Firstly, Gary Belcher comes back into the side for David Burke, who acquitted himself very well last week. Of course, Wayne Cullen also comes in for Brad Sully, returning from injury as Wayne Cullen. And Chris Phelan comes into the side for his first run-on appearance for South for a number of years. And that causes a reshuffle to the pack with Tronk going into the second row. And, of course, Meninga not available this weekend through State of Origin duties. Norm Carr, of course, he takes his place in the side after being under some injury cloud earlier in the week. Now let's have a look at the North side, and they have no changes from the side that played against Wide Bay and actually knocked Wide Bay out of the competition a couple of weeks ago in the State League competition. A very well balanced pack of forwards there, North, and that'll be their strength in today's game. There's Peter Jackson, a sensational young centre there for South. So he will be out to prove the State of Origin selectors wrong in his omission from the side for Tuesday night. Another player certain to play a vital role in this match is big Campbell Jews, the big front rower from North, Zulu, affectionately known by everyone who's a North supporter and a rugby league supporter for that matter, and he's back to his galloping best.
Referee for the match is Eddie Ward. North's to start play, running from the northern end of the ground as it goes down to South's quarter line, and this is Cullen, the halfback. Eddie Muller, the hookers in the dummy half, and this is Mescal. Runs straight into Zulu and company, but it was the lock who had to put him to ground before it out wide to Jackson. And Peter Jackson is about 30 metres out from his own line, centre field, close to centre field. Muller to distribute for Souths as it comes back to the 5/8 French. Gary French with that long kick down towards North's quarter line, and a mistake from the fullback, but able to retrieve, and it's Adams to play it back. North's forced right back, only about 12 metres out from their own line. Dowling, the captain of the side, is in the hooking position as it goes to Dews. John Dowling, of course, a very experienced player. And Bartier.
Previous encounters there, South won the first round match 29 points to 22 against North, so South with the upper hand at the moment, and North have kicked downfield.
And the penalty to Souths. North's player ruled offside, Bagnall.
Of course, young Bagnall in front of the kicker there and must stay outside the 5 metres and allow Belcher at least that amount of latitude. Penalty going to South now, and all the good work for Norths clearing their own line has now been undone, and an opportunity now for the Magpies to put the pressure back on, but not with a bad kick like that from Jackson.
And that's an elementary mistake, not finding touch with a penalty goal, and so it's North's winger Walters in possession. And it's a penalty. South's not getting off the man, so it's a penalty to Norths. Jackson was the offending player, and North's centre Rolls is the player who takes that kick for the line.
Oh, not a good effort there from Rolls. It found touch fair enough, but it was touched by South by Wallace on the far side. Now a scrum to pack instead of the tap penalty, and Norths will have loose head and ball.
Bagnall wins it for Norths. French the tackler. Bartier. Inside North's territory by about 5 metres. Dowling's there. Switches it to the open side of play, with North's right on the halfway mark. Dowling's up there. Very experienced player, of course, John Dowling, played with St George Club in Sydney. Cross to his half-back, and then to Sutton, and Sutton's pass done, losing it, and it's a South ball straight out to Jackson on the halfway mark. So South find themselves inside North's territory by 15 metres in front of the stand. And Norm Carr distributes. He's the captain of South's side as Mescal runs crash into that North's player. A very hard run.
That was Campbell Jews, and he's not well.
Yes, he certainly felt that, but he's back on his feet. He's all right again now as Chris Phelan takes it up for Souths, and the ball dragged away from him. Penalty to Souths. Obviously dragged away. I think it was Dowling, one of the two Norths players in there.
Dowling, of course, going in as the second man. Let's have a look at it again as Mescal goes up firstly here. There's the big body clash from Campbell. Just great work from Mescal to give him the big brush off. And then it was the subsequent play, the ball, where there was a stealing the ball incident. A penalty now gone to South, and an opportunity for them to register first points.
Gary French moves in. Can he put first points on the board for Souths in this encounter? And the flags are up. And the Magpies take an early lead of 2-0. Brett Rolls to restart play. North's running from the northern end of the ground. This is the first half. Jackson picks it up. Norm Carr's up into the dummy half position for Souths, and Mescal running onto it again and crashing down the middle. He certainly means business today, David, doesn't he?
He's looking good, and he's also looking to offload the ball on every occasion, so Mescal developing as a front rower.
Across it comes from the second rower and into Peter Jackson. Well and truly picked up with a good tackle from Dunn. Yogi Dunn really wrapped up Jackson. French over the halfway mark. Adams. North's fullback. Tackled 12 metres inside his own territory. Rolls. Dowling, and it's the second row forward for Norths with that strapping round his head is Gilmister. Cross to Darryl Duncan, the other second row, the ball rebounding and picked up by Eddie Muller, South's hooker.
Penalty for offside there. Muller in front of the man that the ball rebounded off, and for that reason he's been caught offside. Eddie Ward awarding the penalty, and once again the heat's come off Norths.
Brett Rolls makes sure of it, finds touch with that penalty kick. 5 metres inside South's territory. Dowling to take the second or tap kick. Across to Bartier, slipping it back again, or to Sutton, and slipping it back to the support coming through. Gilmister, the second row, playing it back. Cross from the hooker, half-back to Lucas, and it's a penalty.
Penalty here, and he's calling out Wayne Cullen, the halfback for South, and looks like Bagnall it is, I think, on the ground. Bagnall had done a little wrap around, and Cullen has gone for 5 minutes to the sin bin.
What's that late tackle?
He can cool his heels there for a while. Bagnall doesn't look well. He's still gaining attention on the ground, and Cullen exits for 5 minutes.
Rolls attempting his penalty kick at goal, 40 metres out. And the flags are up, so it's 2-all. French to restart play. Deep into North's territory to Cliff Adams, the fullback. And tackled by French, who followed through very quickly. Running from dummy half is Rolls. The centre to play it back and switch back to Campbell Dews. Dews has had flu for most of the week, but he's improved in the last day or so. He'll be able to take his place in North's lineup today. Paul Barty. 12 metres short of halfway. Walters is there to distribute to his halfback. Pretty high pass. Thompson was the tackler, the winger, Gary Thompson. And now we see the Darryl Duncan kicking for the line as it bounces into touch. A good kick. Cullen's ball in. South's ball. Cullen in possession. Bagnall over the top. Now Paul Wallace, the wingers, into the dummy half position, decides to have a run himself. But runs into trouble. Meskel. Tackled by the halfback, or rather by the hooker Dowling, right round the ankle, and Gilmister was in there to lock forward, in there to lend a hand. Across to French, to Jackson, spilling it. North can't pick it up, so we'll have a knock on both ways, a scrum to pack down. Pretty untidy play there. Untidy play, but what a great hit there from Gilmister it was, and of course he's renowned for those type of tackles, and he really put everything into it. We are the statistics at the moment. Scrum 3-2 to South. It's full-back, Adams, 5 metres short, or 6 metres short of the halfway mark as it comes to Sutton, the 5'8", slipping it back towards Dunn. Too much cross-field stuff from North, they're not going forward. And very slow, isn't it? Yogi Dunn to play it back, and that's Darryl Duncan in possession. Across to Bagnall, further across then to Bartier. Good low tackle from Tronk round the ankles, and he was waiting. He thought he heard a whistle blow, I think, but it's play on. Across to Bagnall, and Sutton then, a longer pass. Well, he thought about sending that long pass, decided to hold it, because you could see that he was covered, and it's Bagnall in control. Lost the ball. South's ball, as it was Jackson who came away with it. So South just over the halfway mark in North's territory. Certainly not seeing any brilliant attack from either side at this stage of the game, with Chris Phelan in control now. That's the halfback Cullen, back into Meskel, and he can't make any ground. As well stopped by Gilmister. Does an enormous amount of tackling, North's second row. Gilmister, not the tallest player, but he's exceptionally strong as it comes to French. Just inside North's territory on the final tackle. And there's Jackson. Adams is underneath it. Fullback well and truly cornered, but he's outside his quarter line by about 4 or 5 metres. And we see John Elrow, I think it is, running from that dummy half position. Well, after, as you said, a fairly steady start to the match, and maybe the players are all looking for their quarter-time break, and of course they're not going to get it today because this is a match now of 2 40-minute halves. We've now only got 18 minutes to go remaining in this first half, but it's been a fairly steady match so far without any outstanding play from either side, and really someone needs to get the game by the scruff of the neck and take control. Here's Sutton, makes the break over the halfway mark. You look for the support. There's Walters racing with Dunn up alongside of him. Yogi Dunn is pulled down about 22 metres out the line. It's the first attack or break we've seen from North's in this game that I can recall. Bagnall's kick, it's a high one, and pulled down then by the South's fullback Belcher. Takes the ball exceptionally well, Gary Belcher, 10 metres out from his own line, and Meskel has the job of rucking it away as he dragged to the ground by North's winger Walters with assistance. Across to Cullen, onto the ball comes young Scott Tronk. His father used to play for Souths. Back to French. John Elrow having some problems. And Paul Wallace over the top. Amazing feature also of the game so far is just about 99% of it has been played between the quarters. There's Johnny Elrow injured there, but really no side has yet to threaten the try line of their opponents. And North's over the halfway mark. as Trevor Lucas is tackled. John Dowling, Darryl Duncan, and slipping it on to Gilmister. Trevor Gilmister, 10 metres inside South's territory. As usual, takes a lot to stop and gains an extra metre or two. Duncan looks and decides to go on his own up the middle, and a bit wild, but gathered by the lock forward Bartier. John Dowling's into that dummy half position. Skipper to his half-back, then Sutton with a little chip kick across the top, and following through, Rolls picks it up the centre. That's Brett Rolls, 22 metres out from South's line. Sutton, he's being elusive too. He beat those tackles, Sutton. A very strong run as he's pulled down short, slips the pass back, and it's lost. But again, we see another elusive run from Sutton.
Yeah, Sutton's looked good. A couple of times he has decided to go with the ball. Of course, that was the 6th tackle upcoming, so Sutton had every right to hold the ball up just for a couple of moments. Looked like he was going to kick, and then took off. And of course, South held off. And the desperation pass was warranted, as it would have been a changeover anyway.
And South's ball. Cullen sends his pass to Belcher. Cullen, onto the ball comes Norm Carr, captain of the side, and does well to clear the quarter line. Cullen, French, and Scott Tronk. Legs cut from under him. Bartier, one of the tacklers, and the other one, the first one in there, probably was Gilmister. And this time, Hubie Abbott in the centres. Tall, blonde-headed player. Quite a few of the Abbotts, of course, have played in the Brisbane competition from North Queensland. This is Peter Jackson, and the pass back it goes to Eddie Muller. Another North Queenslander. Talking of North Queenslanders, Eddie Muller, of course, came down to Souths about 2 or 3 seasons ago, as it goes to Mescal. Plenty of effort in his run. Takes play up to the halfway. Carr, Cullen, and French. Further across to Belcher. The fullback weaving his way through, but finally stopped as Darryl Duncan is the tackler. Gary Thompson's the dummy half then as it comes across to French. And kicks across over the quarter line. Walters, North's left winger, in possession. And looks around for someone to give it to, but couldn't unload. Fullback Adams is there. Mescal, one of the tacklers, and the other one Muller. And injured in the tackle. Coming out on South's side of the fence, across to French. Longer pass to Jackson in the centres. And Jackson's pass into Belcher. Here's Belcher, the fullback, flying into the movement over the quarter line, screaming for the corner. He's got support there as Wallace flies for the corner and dives, and he scores the try to Wallace in the corner. South lead 6-2.
Great try from South. And you can put that down to the scrum base move. I think it was French who fired that long pass out. Norths were concentrating their defence in and around the scrum base, and a dummy run by one allowed that long pass out, and it was a fine effort by each of the South backs then. We'll have a look at it again now. Here's the scrum. Cullen does well to clear the base of the scrum very well. Have a look at French here. Fires the ball out. That cuts out 2 players. There's Jackson now into possession. Runs perfectly to take out Dunn. There's Belcher. Belcher sees daylight. Away he goes. Johnny Elrow on his left has got plenty of pace. Comes in to make the tackle. Forced away from his own winger. Belcher looks outside. Finds Wallace perfectly positioned. Bagnall, great cover defence from the halfback to come right from the base of his own scrum. But Wallace in for the try in the corner. And that's the attack we expect to see from South.
12 minutes before half-time. North's to restart play with Brett Rolls putting it deep into South's territory, where Wallace, the try scorer of a moment ago, is tackled 20 metres out from his own line. Muller's into the dummy half position. There's Mescal. Mescal well wrapped up by Gilmister. First one in there, and also the lock forward for Norths. Across from the half-back, Scott Tronk. And Tronk looking to get it back, but couldn't unload. 32 metres out from his own line. Muller's there to French, and he'll try the kick. Taken by John Elrow, that right winger for Norths. Tackled 10 metres short of the halfway mark. Fullback Adams is up there, and pulled down by Jackson. This time Bagnall and Zulu. Up he goes. Chris Phelan's round the ankles. Assistance from John Elias, and number 9, the second rower for Souths, as it comes back to Sutton. Sutton wriggles out of one, gets a good pass away to Yogi Dunn on halfway. One-handed pass. Walters, dummy half this time. And onto the ball, Lucas. Trevor Lucas, well and truly stopped. Good tackle in. John Elias in there with Muller. And now Duncan kicking for the line. A good kick from Duncan too. An excellent kick and very low trajectory. Finds touch inside South's quarter line and only about 15 metres out in the line.
Much better from Duncan, a far more positive kick. He went for a bit of territory and didn't just sort of cut it across field. And now an important scrum here for South. They'll be looking to get this one with loose head and ball.
South's ball, penalty to Norths. Not in straight against the halfback Cullen. And so it's a differential penalty to Norths, 15 metres out from South's line.
Let's see what Norths can do. They've yet to really mount an attack against the Magpies try line, and here's their chance.
John Dowling takes the tap and straight on to Campbell Dews. Up he goes, 10 metres out. Well, what can Norths do from here? Strong attacking position. Souths are leading 6-2. Norths need the points as Trevor Lucas takes it up. 9 metres out. Dowling. And back this time to second row Gilmister. Wrestling and very strong. Gilmister got over, get the ball down. Yes, he got the ball down. Very well done by Gilmister, and it's 6-all.
Great work from young Trevor Gilmister. He's shown that already in this match that he's a fine defensive player, and we saw his determination there to score that try because he bounced out of a few tackles. Admittedly, fairly poor attempts by the Magpies to put him down, but let's have a look at it again. Here's Gilmister, brushes one, bounces and bumps another, still striving, reaches out and puts the ball down over the line. Good work from Gilmister and a thoroughly deserved try.
Gary French restarts play for Souths. Down it goes to the second row, Duncan. And he's picked up immediately by Norm Carr and company. Wallace was the other tackler in there. This is John Elrow. Dowling and Gilmister. Cross to Duncan, and this time his support, Lucas. Trevor Lucas. Duncan. 10 metres short of halfway. Dowling's there. Back to Rolls. Brett Rolls' kick. Won't quite find. Yes, it does. What a great kick, and it was touched by the Souths winger Thompson just outside his quarter line. So it was a great kick.
Yeah, good effort there from Norse, and Thompson really had to have a go for it. He thought that he had it under control, didn't, just tapped it into touch, and of course Norse now an opportunity to take this ball out of the scrum and go on the attack once again.
It's a Norths ball from the scrum, straight out to Sutton, doubling round to the halfback Bagnall, very loose, and getting the fullback flying into the movement, Adams. Adams, 18 metres out, right in front. The winger was in there, across to Bagnall, back to Sutton, the 5'8", and he turns it back to Zulu. A bit of a surprise, but up he goes. Norths, 22 metres out. Dowling, slipping it back to Zulu. That was another surprise. I don't think he expected to get that one back. You, David?
They're working him overtime.
Yeah, indeed. About 14 metres out from South's line. Scores 6-all. Across it comes to the 5'8", to Bagnall. Doubling round to go Sutton. But kick over the top and beautifully taken by Belcher. That's a South's ball, 2 metres out from their own line. Wallace into the dummy half position, the winger. And he rucks it forward and does well to pick up 10 metres or so. Kirby Abbott, the centres into the dummy half position. Now Mescal breaks the line, well done, over the quarter line. Support coming through as the halfback Cullen, and Cullen is tackled midway between his quarter line and the halfway mark. And referee stopping play, forward pass rule.
There's Hubie Abbott with a gash just near his right eye. Doesn't look to be a serious one, just to the side of the eye. And I'd say Abbott won't even think about going off for attention for that one.
No, he's pretty tough, Hubie Abbott, isn't he? One of the veterans out there, actually. He's got to be around 30 years of age, I think.
Yes, Hubie, I don't think would really like to suggest how old he is.
No, he's still a good player, isn't he? This is Bagnall, North's ball, 30 metres out from South's line. Cross to Sutton and Dunn. Normally he's been playing on the wing, Yogi Dunn, but and it's a penalty against South's dragging the ball away. from him in the tackle. Now Brett Rolls about to attempt his penalty, just on 30 metres out in front. This would give Norths the lead, 8-6, only about 2.5 minutes before half-time, and there it goes. And the flags are up, and so Norths hit the lead for the first time in the match, leading by 8 points to 6. Gary French restarts play for Souths, deep into Norths territory, down to Cliff Adams. And away from French, but is picked up. Player coming across was John Elias, the second row forward. Picked him up in a good wrap-up tackle. This is Dowling. Meskel, one of the tacklers, first one in there. The other one was French, of course, the 5'8". Bagnall's there. And across it comes to second row Gilmister, trying to spin round and get away in that tackle, but well and truly stopped by Scott Tronk, playing in the second row today. Normally he's been playing in the front row. This is Bagnall. Nice sharp little run over the halfway mark. Looking for support too as Dunn was flying up inside. Or rather, it was Waters flying up inside, not Dunn, but it was a great little run from the halfback. Across this time to the second row, Darryl Duncan running strongly over the quarter line and still going. South defence holding off the pass back inside, loose there as Wallace came across and pushed it forward to an offside position to Cullen, so it has to be a penalty to Norths.
Wallace not happy with it, but certainly a correct decision. The ball went forward to be taken by Cullen. He really didn't have much option, and great opportunity here for Norths to put more points on the board.
So that was some excellent attack then from Norths, and Duncan very prominent in that, contesting to play the ball, Souths, and that's the way it goes. Souths have taken it. Cullen in possession. That's the ball that Souths wanted, with the hooker Muller in possession now. Tronk is there, kick through by Lucas, but Thompson snaps it up for Souths. 6 tackles to go.
Get him behind!
Cullen. South's defence looked pretty ragged in that last those runs from by Norths, David.
Yes, Bagnall picked his mark really. He saw Meskel on this blind side, ran to him and away from him, and really marked Meskel not any opportunity at all to put a hand on Bagnall. And he did very well, Bagnall, to make that initial territory and put Norths on the attack.
That's right, but Souths took a long time to recover after that, didn't it?
Yes, well, Norths went on with the job, and really South's defence hasn't been the rock-solid defence we come to expect from them. In particular, if we think back to the try that was scored, normally we expect South to be rock-solid.
And Souths over the halfway mark now as it slips across to Hubie Abbott. Wallace has it on the wing. Wallace looking to get the pass back inside. The 6th tackle, it's the handover to Norths. Now looking at the scrums stand at 5-all. At half-time, the scrums 5-all. The tight heads 1-0 to Souths. The penalties go to Norths, 7-4, and the scrum penalties 1-0 or one each to Souths and Norths. But at half-time, Norths are leading by 8 points to 6. Norths try scored by Trevor Gilmister in the 31st minute. Rolls has kicked 2 goals from 3 attempts, and for Souths, Wallace scored a try in the 26th minute, and French has kicked 1 goal from 3. Gary Belcher restarts play in the second half for Souths as it goes deep into North's territory, taken by the halfback Bagnall, and caught by French with assistance from Norm Carr finishing the tackle.
Big Bob Kellaway has come on now to replace Chris Phelan in the south side, and both players, Phelan and Kellaway, returning from England, making a late start to the season. And Kellaway, let's see if he can have a significant effect on the game, because Phelan was very quiet in the first half.
Norths in possession just outside their quarter line as it comes on to Lucas, the front row forward, who takes it up in a good strong run, and might have lost the ball. Yes, he has. He's lost the ball, as it was John Elias who came up with it. Now Meskel, Zulu, flinging that arm out at Meskel, but didn't quite get to him. And now Kellaway. He really is a huge man now, Kellaway, and does well to get it back to Tronk, to French. Souths in a strong attacking position, 30 metres out from North's line. Peter Jackson's into the dummy half position. Then Thompson's in there before giving it to Tronk. And Tronk well and truly wrapped up. Sutton, the 5'8" for Norths, the tackler, and in from tackle of Muller as the pass goes across, put down by Hubie Abbott, and knocked on by Norths as well. So we'll have a scrum just outside North's quarter line. Norths are leading by 8 points to 6. Noticeable that
Norm Carr going to the back of the scrum, clapping his hands and saying not good enough by South, and really they'll have to lift their act.
North's ball, Bagnall. Just about through. Norm Carr got to his jersey, and down he goes. Midway between North's quarter line and the halfway mark as it comes across to Sutton, and then wrapped up was second row of Gilmister, I think it was. Yes, it was. Across to Zulu, and up he goes. Almost to halfway. Campbell Dews to play it back. Across to Bagnall, Sutton, the 5/8, and Lucas out wide, the front rower. Mescal's the tackler, of course, over the top. Bagnall's into the dummy half position and whips it to Darryl Duncan. Kick for the line, a pretty good attempt at kick, line kick, but well taken by Gary Belcher. And the South fullback doing well to take it up 10 metres short of halfway.
Hasn't been involved enough, Belcher, in the match so far. I don't feel that Souths have had enough thrust in their attack, and he's one fellow who can certainly give them that thrust.
There he is. Yes, obviously he's been told at half-time to get into the action a bit more.
I would think so. Of course, he's only returning from injury. He copped another heavy head knock last 2 weeks ago, and didn't play for South last week. So his first week back and maybe just feeling his way.
Mullers into the dummy half position behind Kellaway, and here's Mescal straight up the middle. That's played like a front row forward. Muller and the little fella Cullen. Nuggety little halfback comes on to Belcher again, slipping it back to Carr. Norm Carr moving well, and tackled only about 24 metres out from North's line. Wallace up into the dummy half position. South's running from the northern end of the ground, and this is the second half, and there's his kick. And Adams does well to pull it down. A round of applause from the crowd here for that take by Adams. Alro to play it back for Norths to Adams. Tackled by Wallace. And John Dowling says, get out of the way, let him play the ball, let's get on with the game. And has a go on his own, is tackled by Wallace. Bagnall was there behind him, but John Dowling running his own, slipping it back to Bagnall. That was pretty cleverly done from Dowling. And Bagnall, who loves to run from dummy half anyway, but was able to back up his captain then. Kicked downfield by Darryl Duncan, over halfway. Belcher. Gary Belcher tackled about 12 metres inside his own territory. Hubie Abbott's into the dummy half position, the very tall, rangy centre, and a one-handed pass to Jackson. Jackson gets another pass back to Cullen, jumping in the air for a moment, and he's 8 metres short of halfway.
South's just starting to stand in a few tackles now and finding a few little half breaks in the North's defence.
This is Tronk, playing in the second row today, and Zulu's over the top, Campbell Dews. And the referee giving a penalty against Dews. Bringing the knee up. And there's the kick from South, finding touch 22 metres out from North's line, in front of the stand. Gary Thompson, the winger, gives it to Mescal. Takes the second kick, or the tap, and turning it back then very quickly to Thompson. Thompson 10 metres out from the line, and running from that dummy half position is Muller. Eddie Muller stopped, only 2 metres out. It's a great attacking position for South. And Cullen forces his way through, just about through, and just as he was about to cross, he was held up by Norths. Barty is in for that tackle to stop his progress from getting across the line, and further across now to Bob Kellaway. Kellaway showing plenty of strength and determination. He's taking a lot of Norths players there to stop him. Eddie Muller's there to distribute this time. A longer pass to French. Peter Jackson, centres, sending it back to Cullen, wrapped up by Gilmister, and also Bartier. Final tackles on, back to French, and a little chip across the top, and they're following through at a great rate, and picked up by Rolls. And he's trying to clear his own line. He does. He managed to clear his own line. That's an incredible run. He bumped off a number of tacklers.
Bumped off one, and as Muller went in to make the tackle, just mistimed it and actually collided with the goalpost. All right though, Muller, and returning to his spot.
So North's fullback Adams taking it up this time. They've cleared their quarter line in front of the stand and probably did well to get out of that situation where it was starting to look a bit dangerous with that chip kick across the top. Now Gilmister standing in the tackle to Duncan, his co-second rower. Hard to make progress up the middle. Dowling and Bagnall. Pass to Sutton, turning around, gets away from a couple of players, including Muller, away from French, and he's a slippery customer. Sutton, isn't he?
The A couple of good breaks in the game so far.
Final tackle's on. Here's the kick. And there it goes this time by Rolls, and it's a good kick too from Brett Rolls. Finds play, takes play just outside South's quarter line by about 5 or 6 metres. South's ball from the scrum to Belcher, the fullback, standing flat behind the scrum, where he likes to stand there, and attacks very strongly from that position. Wallace, the winger's there, to his half-back. French, the 5/8's there. Here's Peter Jackson in the centre. It's over the quarter line. Norm Carr's dummy half this time. Decides to have a run himself up the middle. And back to Muller. Slip to Jackson. Short passing from Souths. Finds the 10 metres short of the halfway mark. French and Meskel standing wide. Zulu's one of the tacklers. Certainly not the first one. First one in fact, was Rolls, the centre, I think, was the first one in there. Across to Muller, to Tronk. Wider pass then to Peter Jackson in the centres, and he's got Hubie Abbott with it. Abbott's moving well. Comes back in field now. There's Abbott. Look for the support, and there it is. Lock forward Carr. On to Thompson. Thompson, the winger's flashing for the corner, but into touch he goes. Only about 5 metres out. Now, that was some good attack from South.
Great work from South. First found the break out wide on the right-hand side. Abbott cut back inside, and then he had plenty of backup support. Norm Carr was one, and then Thompson finally being taken into touch. Here it is again. Abbott cutting back on the inside. Then Carr went right, which I thought was the right. I thought he should have stayed inside. Elected to go out, then found Thompson. Thompson taking into touch with some good cover defence.
And from the scrum, it's a North's ball. Bagnall in possession, 9 metres out, and running from the dummy half is Walters. Winger playing it back. Bagnall. Away from Carr. And tackled by Big Bob Callaway. It's long and the short of it. The big man and the small man. Across to Darryl Duncan. And Meskel tackles him, loses the ball, and a South ball. Cullen, the halfback, plays it back for Souths. John Elias. And in turn to Muller. Turning it back quite easily in the tackle. Carr to Cullen, further out to Meskel. And Trevor Lucas is in there. And a player flying through from over the top was Gilmister. Just as well he missed. He really hurled himself. He was flying through the air like a missile, wasn't he?
That's the way Gilmister likes them. He likes them lined up, but Meskel saw him just at the last minute and managed to duck.
Cullen's pass to French. Now Jackson. Longer pass still out wide to Belcher. And Belcher's got his winger Wallace there. Trap back in field and beats a few tackles, does well. Wallace passes off the ground and he was effectively tackled. South's ball, picked up by Carr, worked the blind side to Wallace, just inside North's territory. Elrose the tackler, Muller, and Big Bob Callaway. Muller distributes to his halfback Cullen, then Tronk. Good low tackle from Gilmister, who's having a very good game as usual, and certainly his defence is excellent and nothing much wrong with his attack in one of those attacking movements when we saw him score the tries. It comes back to Norm Carr, flicks on to French. Gary French, the 5'8", manages to get it back to Tronk, to Meskel, and Meskel dies with it. Midway between North's quarter line and the halfway mark, South's in control, but North's are leading 8-6 in the game as the pass comes out wide then towards the full-back and on to Hubie Abbott. Abbott sends a pass back inside now to the French, and Hunter comes back and racing through goes the South's hooker Muller to score an excellent try.
A sustained attack there from South. I was just about to say that Norths are doing a pretty fair job in holding them out, but it was really some brilliant attack down that right-hand side that culminated in that try from Muller, and of course he loves to back up right down the middle, as a good hooker should. Let's have a look at it again. A good pass there from Cullen to cut one out. Have a look at this one from Belcher over the top. There's Abbott flying down the right-hand wing. Dowling couldn't get to him. Jackson, the loud call on the inside, positioned himself beautifully, then just took out the fullback, and in came Muller to place the ball around about 10 metres to the right-hand side of the uprights. Have a look at this from the head on now. There's Jackson just standing it up nicely. Took Adams out of play. Muller in good position. He won't be touched as he strides across to put the ball down, and a good South try.
Gary French attempting the conversion. Souths are leading by 10 points to 8, and there's the kick. The flags are up and it's 12-8 to Souths. Brett Rolls restarts play for Norths. Norths running from the southern end of the ground in this the second half as it goes down to Belcher. and does well to take it up almost 30 metres out from his own line.
South's really starting to get their attacking game flowing now, and Norths are really going to have to stand up very straight and flat and nullify the good short passing that Souths are putting together in and around the ruck.
Mescal plays it back, and onto the ball comes Carr. Takes play 10 metres short of halfway. Muller. Cullen's there. French, he's 5'8". Mescal outside of him again. And Belcher. Tronk. Cullen. Has that kick for the line. That's a very good kick. Yes, an excellent kick from Cullen. And it takes play well inside North's territory. About 27, 28 metres out from the line. And Mescal, after all that, they'll run it up again, back to where they were. Now Mescal stopped again. That was Campbell Dews, of course, the first tackler in there, and somehow or other he got hurt in the tackle as it comes across to Cullen, further to French. French then sends it back to Tronk, to the big fella Bob. Kellaway couldn't hold it.
Poor old Campbell Dews must think there's no justice because he's hurt his shoulder. He, in the first attempt to tackle, he threw an arm at Mescal. This time he used his shoulder, the way to do it properly, and now he's damaged his shoulder. So he's gaining attention. Looks like he's in trouble, and the trainer there calling for assistance.
Trevor Lucas takes it up. North's only 12 metres out from their own line as Dowling sends a risky pass, intercepted by Abbott. Abbott races away. Here's another try for South as Hubie Abbott puts it down, and it was a risky pass all the way that.
Yes, that floating pass across the ruck very close to your line, always a danger. Hubie Abbott having a very good second half, starting to get a bit of ball now, Abbott, and he's showing his skills in reading the play well. And of course that's what you've got to do when you're looking for an intercept. You take that chance, and Abbott took the chance. There's the long pass from Dowling, cuts out one, looking there for Sutton, couldn't get it to Sutton. Abbott juggled it for a moment, but there was never any doubt that he wasn't going to score this try. Brings it in around under the post. And of course now South applying plenty of pressure territorially and also when they've got the ball, and South now in a commanding position.
Gary French attempting the conversion, easy one right in front, and the flags are up. And South go to a lead of 18 points to 8.
And try now is what they desperately need with only 13 minutes remaining in the match.
So Rolls finds touch. North's only about 18 metres out as it comes on to Eccles. And the big fella charging through, just about broke the line. He's only a couple of metres out as Dowling decides to go on his own. He's very dangerous in that position as he dummied. Trevor Lucas across, now to Duncan. Sutton, the 5/8 in the dummy half position, and decides to go on his own and try to slip through. But no joy. Over the top, John Elias. Across to Duncan. Bagnall. And Bagnall tries with that accelerating burst of his to get through, but Souths are awake to it. And well picked up by the fullback Belcher with assistance from Jackson. And now that little kick ahead, chip kick, lost ball, picked up and knocked on by French for South, so we'll have a scrum.
Penalty now going to South. That was silly play there from Yogi Dunn. Had Abbott on the ground and actually gave him a fairly hefty cuff as he lay on the ground. Abbott not too well either, and what should have been a scrum and a loose head feed to Norths is now a penalty to South, and the pressure's off. And that blood you can see coming from Abbott's eyes from an injury incurred earlier in the match. But certainly that cuffing blow from Yogi Dunn wouldn't have done it any good at all.
And the penalty kick for the line by the Jackson finds touch about 18 metres out from South's line. Second kick to be taken by Eddie Muller. There it is, and Mescal to run it up. Eccles, one of the tacklers, driving him back. Another tackler in there as usual, Gilmister. Second row for Norths. Muller, Cullen, and Kellaway. Bob Kellaway, haven't seen him for a while, Big Bob. As John Elias will play it back for Souths. 22 metres out from his own line. Muller. Switch back to French. Up to the halfway mark. It's taken by John Elrow, the winger, away from the first tackle of Hubie Abbott, but picked up by Tronk and Co. Trevor Lucas, front row as dummy half, decides to have a run. Pretty good effort. 10 metres inside South territory. Dowling and Duncan and Bartier. Paul Bartier dragged down 10 metres inside. Got a couple of more changes coming over. We'll see Brian Dunn's being replaced, and I think it's Forster, another one of the English imports, who's coming on for Norths as Gilmister runs it up. He's wearing 16 jersey, Mark Forster. Apparently he's been playing very well in reserve grade too. He's on to Dowling for Norths, then to Eccles, and Eccles 30 metres out. Final tackle. Gilmister. Back to Duncan, and the chip kick across the top this time, and gathered beautifully by Wallace. And the South left winger breaking through, looking for someone to link up with someone, but there was no one out on his right-hand side. Belcher's there, and Carr sending his pass to Kellaway. Pops it back again to Normie Carr, and he's caught, so gives it to Jackson. But nothing much, not gaining any ground. Oh, they're just changing hands a bit. Or as I speak, Jackson makes a little bit of progress. They're finally pinned down.
Not good enough from North. They're not going in to affect the tackle.
Peter Jackson, play it back to Muller, Cullen and Meskel. Turning in the tackle and making good ground, Meskel again. 32 metres out from North's line. South's leading by 20 points to 8. Cullen and Tronk, 6 to go. Callaway's moving into the dummy half position when North's let him get up to play the ball. And Cullen is there. Working the blind side, John Elias. And across it comes into Hubie Abbott, breaks one tackle, looks for the inside pass, here's Wallace. And Wallace is over for another try, his second try for Souths.
What a good winger Wallace is. Positioned himself beautifully back on the inside, and Abbott showing all his experience and being able to set him up as well. But Wallace has done some good work, not only scoring 2 tries, but he's made a number of breaks in the match today, any opportunities that have come his way. There's the pass from Elias out to Abbott, gets around one, that was Alroe, brushed Alroe off, and then Abbott flicking the ball back inside. Wallace in perfect position, brings it around to put it around about 5 metres to the left-hand side of the uprights, and another easy kick for Gary French. Here it is again. There's Elias. Stands nicely. Did it perfectly, Elias there. Got his hands free. Alroe couldn't make the tackle. A little brush off from Abbott. And then he did well to get that ball back inside. And Wallace, look at the stride on him. No one can change direction so well. A very big stride. Does it easy, holding the ball in one hand and places it down with 2.
Gary French attempting the conversion. Souths are leading 24-8. There it goes, and the flags are up. So it's 26-8 for Souths, and this game is all over by the shouting.
Souths have really shown the way in the second half.
7 minutes before the end of this game as Norths bring it back to the halfway mark. Sutton, the 5/8 to restart play. Wallace makes sure he doesn't knock the ball on. Dowling, the first tackler. Assistance from Gilmister in there. Cullen across then to the fullback to Meskel. Just holds that one. The big game, of course, on Tuesday night. David, you've got some information there, I think, that you might be able to give us.
Well, good news for Queenslanders, Arthur, is that Chris Close trained very strongly today, and he is certain to take his place now in the Queensland side. And of course, that's where our strength lies, I think, against New South Wales' weakness is with Close and Meninga in the centres. We've got a couple of big men there, and I would think that Lewis will be continually firing the ball to those pair to ensure that we carry on with that advantage. Of course, what a big night it's going to be. The gates open here at Lang Park at 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. There's a curtain raiser on at 4:25. The Brisbane natives against Woorabinda. and then the main curtain raiser at 5 to 6, and this will be a good one. It's the final of the Trades and Labour Cup, the under-18, the best young players playing around Queensland at the moment. Brisbane and Ipswich clash in this match, so get here early because that'll be a good one. And of course the big match starting at 7:35. All grandstand tickets have been sold, but there are some outer ground tickets still available from all Bass agencies, and as well as that there will be extra Brisbane City Council buses from King George Square to the End Street stop. So should be a great day on Tuesday night, and I would think we'll have 30,000 fanatical fans out here.
Yes, the match starts at 7:30. We won't have it on television, unfortunately, but ABC Radio will have it throughout the regionals. Parliament's on 4QR, unfortunately, but regional stations will hear a full radio description of the match starting at 7:30 on Tuesday night. Final tackle indicated, North 22 metres out from the line as it comes to Gilmister. That flick pass back inside to Bartier, and Bartier can't make progress, but gets it on to Darryl Duncan, who decides to put it up, and well taken by South's fullback, Belcher.
Another replacement on in the north side. Laurie Kavner has come on for Brett Rolls. Kavner in 17.
Not much time left in this match. 4.5 minutes. South to drop out. This is Belcher. Taken by Duncan. Slips it straight back to Adams, his fullback. And up he goes, picked up by Hubie Abbott from the centres for Souths. Dowling's in the dummy half position. John Dowling, and losing the ball, and picked up by South. Mescal in possession. Cullen, cross then, comes to Jackson, turning away from a tackle from Sutton, but Sutton helps to finish the tackle to stop him passing the ball.
Well, a fine match we've seen here this afternoon, especially in the second half, where South have really come to the fore. They managed to score 20 points to North's nil, and there was some attacking play in their back line where South really have their attacking strength. Good play, especially in the second half through Hubie Abbott. He was involved in a couple of tries, scored one for intercept. Wallace, as I said, also played very well. And of course, Wayne Cullen, I thought he organised things very well, and he's a tough little competitor, and I thought he had a top match, Wayne Cullen. Norm Carr, the settling influence in the forward pack, gives them some direction. A little bit disappointed in Scott Tronk today. I don't think he worked as hard as what we've come to expect. There's another indication of Cullen's all-round play with a good kick to find touch. Mark Mesco, when the going was tough early in the match, he was the fella taking the ball up all day, and I think he played a major role in and ultimately setting the foundation for South's victory this afternoon. If we have a look at the north side, they flagged somewhat in the second half. I don't think it was through condition. I think South have had the majority of possession in the second half, and they've been able to string together a couple of good passes, but really Gilmister, he really played well, especially when North had a little bit of ball. If he can vary his play a little bit more, he is a good defensive player. There's Belcher making a great break off the right.
Belcher racing away. Hubie Abbott was up there, but the ball goes astray. The knock on to be played.
Fairly typical, really, of how the game has run, where Norths have done pretty well to hold South for a reasonable period of time, but they haven't been able to sustain that, and there's been those little half breaks that have been made by South in the match. But all in all, South's deserving winners. Took them a little time to get going, but once they did, they showed that they are far the better side. Little Bagnall going away from from the base of the scrum. He's had a good game for the Devils today as well. Probably goes a little bit too far in actual fact, but if you really look at that North side, really didn't have the attack to trouble South, and it was that lack of attack, lack of variation in the second half that ensured that they really didn't get within a cooey of South, as the final scoreline indicates, 26 points to 8.
Barty tackled. The North's lock, a bit slow, getting to his feet. Felt that tackle. Dowling distributes to Duncan, trying to get his kick in, and then gives it to his winger, and he's tackled. Walters, 10 metres short of halfway. Back to Bartier, that little kick for the line, and finds touch just short of halfway. South's leading by 26 points to 8. Just about slightly over a minute left in this game. And we see the scrums go to North's 10-8, the tight heads 2-0 to South's, the penalties 9 each, and scrum penalties 2-1 to South's. And it's 3-1 now. And another 10 metres. Dowling gives it to Bagnall. And Bagnall finds touch with that kick just inside South's quarter line. Dowling take that second kick across to Sutton, slipping it back to Gilmister, and the ball pops up as it comes up to Mescal, and South's front row Mescal tackled by Bartier, and Eddie Muller goes for a run. So the South's hooker to play it back to his halfback Cullen, and across to the Peter Jackson. Muller just going through the motions now as the full-time hooter sounds, and Souths have won by 26 points to 8. And we look at the particulars of the game. Souths scored 4 tries to 1 by Norths. South's tries scored by Paul Wallace, 2, Eddie Muller and Hubie Abbott, 1 each. French kicked 5 goals from 7. North's try, Trevor Gilmister in the 31st minute, and Rolls kicked 2 out of 3. First scorers 6 for Souths and 4 for Norths, and in the scrums department 10-8 to Norths. The scrums, tight heads 2-0 to Souths, penalties 11-9 to Norths, and the scrum penalties 3-1 to Souths.
The Big League Winfield Cup player of the match, Mark Mescal. Congratulations, Mark. And did you expect the personal clash with Campbell Dews?
Oh man, Zulu, we usually have a bit of a run every time we have a game.
Took South a little bit of time to get going, but second half really performed well.
Yeah, we just had to stick to our game plan. You know, we did a bit of silly things in the first half, threw it away. But once we stuck to it and played discipline, you know, we got over top of them.
Congratulations, and here's your award.
Thanks very much, Dave.
Man of the match, Mark Mescal, talking with David Wright. Now let's have a look at the results from the outside ground.